women are very masculine.
They are, a lot of them are.
Yeah, and so because of that, they're no longer stepping up their game, they're stepping down their game. So in a way, basically, they're saying like, you know what, if the woman want to be the provider, I'm happy to sit back and let her be the provider.
Yeah, but come on, what kind of man is that? If you're like that, you're a waste man. Any man that like says that, you're a waste man. And if you're listening to this, bro, honestly, if you're living off your girl, like trust me, no man will look at you in your eyes and think highly of you. Like your boys might be like, oh bro, that's sick, but they'll turn around and be like, yo bro, like he's a waste man. Yeah, that a man should be able to practically provide for himself, should be able to hold shit down, should practically be fully patterned financially, emotionally, physically. Like it should be completely self-sustainable. That is a masculine man.
Hey beautiful people, this is My Body Talk Show. I'm your host, Celia Lee. Firstly, thank you for tuning in. Truly grateful for your love and support, even if it's your first time. I believe the universe brought you to my show for a reason, because everything happens for a reason. In this show, we talk about self-love, relationship, dating, confidence, spirituality, mindset, health and fitness, literally everything. We talk about the real shit. Anything that empowers and help you become the best and highest version of yourself. Every so often I will have guests on the show to talk about real life stories and have discussions on certain topics. Hope you enjoy it.
Hey everyone, welcome to My Body Talk Show. So today, if you're watching, you can see that we got our very first male guest.
Yo guys.
Hey guys. So before I start, why don't you just introduce yourself to everyone? Tell us where you're from, what's your name and what you do.
Hey guys, my name's Pez. I'm from London, but I originally come from Colombia, and I run a business around sports and well-being, and I run a couple community initiatives, mainly working with youth, and very happy to be here.
Okay, and one interesting fact about you.
Interesting fact, I've never memorized the lyrics to any song in my life. Probably not the most intriguing fact, but I don't really pay attention to lyrics like that. So.
You know what, I wasn't expecting that.
There you go. That's an interesting fact.
I thought that it's an interesting fact with something like, I don't know, you can do this or something. Okay, so today's episode I know is going to be fire, because we are going to be talking about masculine men and a bit probably about relationship as well. And last time we spoke about relationship in this show was with Claire, and it was fire. And the reason why I wanted you to come on, because you introduced me to this book. If you're watching, basically the book is called The Way of the Superior Man. It's by David Deida. And you told me to read it because of the stuff that I'm doing, the work, the kind of like the spirituality I do with women. I want to help them tap into feminine energy. And you said this will actually really help me with what I do. And so I know whenever you introduce me to a book, recommend me a book, I know it'll be good. So I read this and it was so good. Yeah. Like honestly, I'm reading it twice. This is the second time I'm reading it again. I had to go by his second book, his other book but it's written for women. But this one, The Way for Superior Man, is actually written for men. But ladies, I would definitely say you should read it as well. You need to read it because it differentiates, I would say, a boy and a man, and also defines what a man is, and help you know what you want in a man, basically, essentially, and also like know your self-worth, understand your self-worth, help you with self-worth. So we will be talking about this book a bit, but before we go to this book or talk about masculine men, let me ask you this one big question that I know everyone will want to hear from you saying. But obviously,
I feel like I'm in a hot seat. Hi.
But obviously you don't represent all men.
Right, I don't represent all men. I represent myself. That's a big cool day. Like represent.
Let me ask you this.
Go on.
Who pays on the first date?
I always pay on the first date.
No, but man or woman? I'm saying man or woman.
That's a techie one, but I always pay on the first date. I just think, you just got to demonstrate that, like, me personally is more like, it's a matter of like, just courtesy. So yeah, I always pay on the first date, but I can't say that that's what has to be done. But my personal belief is,
So the man?
Yeah, my personal belief.
Okay.
Yeah,
that's a long-winded answer to say.
Yeah, but you know what? It's a techie question because I know there's a lot of guys that might have a different opinion. So yeah, it's a tricky one.
So, because basically, obviously, this is a big, massive debate and things like that. But let's use that to lead on to what we're going to talk about. So basically, like, I asked a question on Instagram saying, what makes a masculine man?
Yeah.
And obviously, you can see all the answers here.
Yeah.
And there was asked a question for women. I asked women, like, saying, what if, because many women always say, I want a masculine man, but what makes a masculine man? What is their definition? And I'll read a few, and then we can, like, touch on them.
Yeah, let's go.
Most of them, they're pretty much similar, what they all said. They said, someone said thoughtful, mature, pragmatic, generous. Someone says his overall demeanor, usually calm, observant and confident, calm reactions to issues too. Secure in who they are, who will make me feel like a real woman, a man who makes me feel like they will take care of you no matter what, a man who has your back and takes charge when needed. Create safe space to allow her to show all her layers, all her demons, all her creativity. A man that creates the safe space and comfort for the woman to be fully herself.
And ladies, you went in, you know, like you were not messing around. Like I actually see how many answers came in.
And then listen, and then someone says conscious penis. What? Don't post just sending. I was supposed to read it out.
Yeah, well.
Anyway, doesn't matter.
Don't be sending no D-pics out here.
Anyway, it's a conscious penis. Anyway, so basically, masculine man's conscious penis. I think that's what she means. Anyway, he naturally leads, protects, is strong and confident. And then someone said, this is code for a man who treats me like shit. Okay. What that's meant to mean. And yeah. And then actually, I did ask the men as well, like what makes them masculine. Only 2 answered. One said being confident in how you carry yourself. You may be short, skinny, overweighted, but you just have to be confident. And then someone goes, yes, I am masculine because I'm a leader, protector, provider.
Fair enough. That's very masculine.
Yeah. So anyway, overall, what the lady said, which I also agree, is being confident is one of. To be honest, no, being confident is not necessarily doesn't show your neck.
It is. I would say it's. Okay. I would say it's. You know what? That's actually a good probably place to start, because I'd say confidence. I mean, you look at whether you're a lady looking at a man or a man looking at another man. When I say a man looking at another man, not in an attraction or that kind of way, more so like just a general way. Practically, when both genders look at a masculine man, one of the things that would actually give off that masculinity is his confidence. But I say confidence comes from, there's another book I read, and one of the things, it really kind of broke it down in a way that it made so much sense to me in terms of what confidence really is. And the way he explained it in this book, I can't remember the guy that read it, but it's that confidence stems from the word confide, and confide is when you're able to trust, but you can only trust something that you believe, and you can only believe the truth. So the way the guy said it is like, if you're truthful to yourself and you know your truth, so like this is from an internal point, if you're truthful to yourself, you're always going to be able to trust in yourself, which means you're going to believe in yourself and you're going to confide in yourself, and then that's where self-confidence comes from. If you spin it that way around, what happens is a lot of the time men tend to listen, I'm speaking from experience, and I don't want to like make it like like make men sound bad or nothing, but a lot of the time we struggle to tell the truth, and it may be because we're trying to avoid an embarrassment, or we're trying to, I don't know, there's some kind of agenda sometimes we're at. And as I said, I'm speaking from experience. But when we don't tell the truth, we may be able to tell a very convincing lie, convince the entire world about it. But when we know deep down that there's like a 1% chance of being found out, that 1% chance of being found out is enough to practically prevent you from having 100% kind of trust, belief, confidence in yourself. And I would say the number 1 trait of masculinity is actually honesty. And I think since we met, that's been something that we've always discussed. And also
this comes down to when people said here, the lady saying that secure within themselves.
But that comes from your truth. Like if you don't know your truth, that's a problem. Like you're unsure. There's an element of uncertainty and doubt, and that's what comes from lying. Like when you lie, there's always that doubt because you think, oh, say they find out. And that, listen, guys, and women probably as well, you know, when you tell a lie, you're always thinking, okay, is this a good one? But you know them ones, and sometimes it's not, because you're just like, sometimes you can tell it's a lie. But yeah, that's one of the things that I would say is the number one thing for like being able to develop like a masculine essence.
Yeah.
So, yeah, man.
So I want to go back to this book. So what made you read this book?
You know, it was recommended to me by a friend. He was going through a lot of relationship troubles. At this point in time, he went through it, and he said, like, it's practically the best book he's ever read, and it helped him understand where he's gone wrong in his relationship. And you know what, it was the way he explained it to me, it compelled me enough, because when he told me the title, I was a little bit like, where the superior man? I'm gonna be honest, it didn't convince me. But when he then told me kind of like what the content of the book is and some of the stuff he touched on, especially at this point, I think it was like around 2018, like this is when I was going through that kind of like spiritual awakening, and he said it was like very spiritual. There's a lot of spiritual elements to it. So that's why I thought, okay, let me touch on. Actually, you know, one of the things he said, it talks about sexual energy, and at this point I was trying to understand what that was. And yeah, I can't, you know, without exaggerating and over-egging it, this book has actually changed my life. So that's why when we met and we spoke about certain things like feminine energy, masculine energy, this is the number one book I tell people, both sexes should read it, definitely.
So and also I know like the title, The Weight of a Superior Man. The word superior, usually I find it has like a negative connotation to it, because people think like, oh, you think you're superior. Like they say like in a negative way.
Yeah, that's what I thought. It's a bit like egoish.
Yeah, exactly. That's the word. So like I know like probably some feminists out there are probably like, what the fuck? Like what superior man? Like who wrote? What kind of book is this? But honestly, like this book is actually so good. It's actually, I would say, probably gives you a different view on the word superior.
Absolutely. And I would say, I think once you understand, when you remove that kind of judgment of like the ego kind of attached to that word, and you actually look at and you take the time to read the book and you see what is actually shared in there, it then really reveals and gives you a new perspective of what being a superior man is. It does not mean you're superior over anything. It means that it's the way you live within yourself. You live and strive to be superior in your own, like in your own essence, really.
I want to talk about masculine and feminine energy, so because a lot of people don't know what it is. So a lot of people probably think, especially maybe men, or actually both men and women, think feminine is represented in women and the masculine is the man. So probably they don't know that both men and women have both masculine and feminine energy. And oh my god, someone said this really, it's a really good question. I want to know how you're gonna answer this.
Go on.
He said, who came up with the feminine, why basically, so feminine energy is like being creative, right? The feeling and all of that, masculine energy is usually the doing, analyzing, getting shit done, basically. And then he goes, who came up with that?
I think,
do you know what I'm trying,
I think these are things that people obviously like throughout time have tried to understand, like things like, you know, like from a spiritual standpoint, the essences and the makeup of it. My take on it is, and I think this is where kind of our conversation really started. I think one time you were burning sage, and I saw it on your Instagram, and I was like, oh right, like you burn sage. I was like, yeah, I burn sage as well. Like it helps me tune in with my feminine energy. And you were like,
and I was like,
what do you know about that?
I was like, what man knows about feminine energy? And I was like, this guy's different.
No, on a serious. So one of the things that I've come to understand, and I'm an observer of nature, and throughout my roots, I'm from Colombia, and my family do come actually like my great granddad comes from like shamanic origins, like in the jungle. So I've always had that kind of like connection and root to spirituality, and I come from spiritual roots, and nature's a big thing, always has been for my family. So even my dad, like, you know, his dad passed things on to him, and my dad's passed on things on to me. And one of the things we've always understood is kind of like how nature works. And one of the things that my dad and I guess me now as a grown up and going through my own personal journey is, if you look at nature and you look at how masculinity is represented in nature and how femininity is represented. And when I say represented, I mean if you look at all living things, and I'm talking about like from the plant realm, like trees, plants. I'm talking about the insect realm, the animal realms. If you look at how masculinity is actually displayed and how you see it kind of practically thrive in nature, masculinity is all about, well, if you look at all living things, let me just put this one quick one. Like if you look at practically the core aim of all living things is to survive. All plants, insects, animals, us.
Masculine.
Well, survival is actually both. Survival is just for all living things. It's the core instinct in anything that lives. You must survive. Survive long enough to procreate, to ensure survival of the species. And that's the continuation of life. It practically creates a life cycle, okay? So at the core, like, instinct of everything that lives is always aim to survive. So trees will climb over each other to get light. Insects will do burrows and, like, you know, they'll do whatever they do. Animals do what they do, humans, etc. But if you look at the way the masculinity in nature aims to survive is for freedom. And they practically go out and they're like practically like they're like, I don't know how to explain it. It's almost like, yeah, like go-doers, like, you know, like they'll conquer. It's all about always
so basically,
conquering.
like I said earlier in the beginning, the masculine is about getting shit done, getting stuff done. The hunter.
It's also the protector.
Yeah.
But then it's a bit more than that. I would say, like, at the core instinct of masculine essence is the freedom to practically disperse, like, and spread the seed. And when I say that, like, you look at what trees do, they transperse the seed. You look at the animal kingdom, you know, the alpha male will try and mate with as many females as possible. Insects, as many males will mate with the queen, etc. And this is all practically more aimed at, like, ensuring that procreation. Now on the feminine essence, it's all about nurturing, and it's that kind of, like,
creating
and create. Well, you guys create life, you know,
exactly.
like, and it's that creation that practically leads to the nurturing element and that. But yeah, I mean, we have essences, like, even me, like, I know I have a feminine essence that I need and I have to tune into to become the best version of myself. So
to touch on that, so, like, talk about your background, what kind of man you used to be. Because you said something about being macho. And
yeah. So, like, I just grew up being like conditioned, like what society depicts a man should be. So, like, macho, like, I go, like, practically not tolerate no disrespect. I got not show no emotion. I practically, like, almost looking at women a little bit inferior, like, kind of thing. Like, not inferior in a way like I'm better than women, but more so like, or like I don't know, is that, yeah, that macho-y thing, like, the man's that the dominant force kind of thing.
And going back for that, I wouldn't say I can't stand, but, like, I'm not attracted to men like that macho guys. You know, I know a lot of women probably like, oh, I like the alpha male or the bad boy, usually macho, everything like. But yeah. Back then when I was younger, I did used to like kind of bad boy, which I'll touch on that in a bit. But for me now, like, this macho kind of gut mentality, just off-putting. And that is where I want to say, like, the way someone said that earlier, their reaction to certain situation, to issues, if they can calmly, like, deal with something calmly, that just shows the maturity. That's the masculinity, and that's the man. And the boy will be like, they're always trying to prove a point, being a macho and all that. That's what I mean, like, that's the man and the boy.
It's the insecurity. I think when you're insecure about yourself, you feel like you need to show something. You feel like you need to go out there, prove a point. But when you get to a point of, like, and you find that security or that confidence we were talking about earlier, and that comes from knowing your truth, who you are, then you don't need to prove a point. You just kind of, like, go on about your business. But that's something very different to one of the things you said. And I'd say confidence is not number one, but number two, or like another element of masculinity, not number two, but another element is practically having emotional strength. And I think that is the one bit that is the hardest for any man to do. And when I say emotional strength, it's not like, don't get me wrong, all men are strong. I know this because I'm a man, and my brethren, and I see everyone around me, and, like, both women and men are strong, but when I say men are strong, like I've seen men, I mean, I was in the army and I've seen men really like deal with like emotions. What I'm talking about though, in this particular case though, is practically the emotion associated in a relationship. So one of the things I've come to understand is that when a man is able to manage the triggers that his woman causes, for example, when the woman, like the woman will always kind of like subconsciously and sometimes consciously, there are toxic girls out there. Exactly. Yeah. Women will, as I said, consciously or subconsciously always test their man, and the way they do that is practically by almost pricking the ego. So like a man might go out there, do something, you know, achieve something. He might expect his woman to recognize that, and his woman might downplay it, and she might do that consciously or subconsciously. But the only reason she's doing that is not because she doesn't appreciate his achievement. It's more to test his masculinity, she wants to feel his force, practically, like his strength. And if she downplays it and the man's triggered and reacts in a like negative way, like, you know, in a hurtful way, like resentful way, practically like that diminishes that, like practically doesn't pass the test. His woman's like, wow, like you actually reacted like that over that? Okay, cool. And it's that it might slide, but it slowly starts diminishing the woman's kind of like build up. Yeah, but the woman won't look at you the same way, as if like if she triggers you or she practically puts that banana skin in front of you and you're like bypassing. It's almost like, you know what, it's cool, right? You know, you enjoy your win anyway. If you practically are able to enjoy your win, irrespective of her recognition or not, and if she kind of like, or when not just that, but in any instance, when your woman triggers you and you're able just to kind of like take a deep breath, but not in a way where you get salty about it. It's almost like just let it slide, move on, but more importantly, you carry on being nice to her. And I feel that that's the bit where like you can actually demonstrate true power of masculinity, and I find that in relationships that's powerful when you're actually able to ride the trigger, not hold on to the grudge and then be upset all day, because you can ignore it, which is something totally different, and you can almost be like, right, I'm not going to react to it, but you'd be salty all day. If you can just almost like whatever, like, and keep moving but still like enjoy, have fun with your girl, have, you know, chat with her, etc., then that's when you really start coming into that masculine essence.
Yeah. And you know, like I always say to like girls or everyone anyway, basically saying what a masculine man to me is a man that can protect, make me feel safe, provides, and confident. Well, he is actually, I think so, he is confident as well, but also like just create a safe space for me to be me, and allows me, make me feel safe to be vulnerable, and make me feel safe to be my feminine, and also like just be understanding, you know, because like so it's like a lot of men
see that there, the understanding bit comes only when a man can tap into his feminine, and like it's almost having that empathy with your girl, and like relating and having that soft touch, that when your girl's like in her vulnerable, instead of like challenging or because that's a lot of being supportive.
Yeah, because a lot of times like, men will be like, oh god, women, she's moaning again. Like what, you know, women are complicated. Like she says this, but she actually means this. Things like that.
But and again on that, actually, guys, this has been the game changer for me personally. I'll say the feminine, like when a man is able to tap into his feminine essence, what in my understanding of it is when he becomes aware of his emotions. Because most men, we're conditioned and we're taught by our dads and society, hey bro, don't be crying. And then if you're amongst men and you try to get all like soft or wet, you're like, bro, what go on? Like, gee, you're right, bro. You get me? Like, what go on? Like, but on a serious note, if a man is able to actually begin to become aware of his emotions and understand his emotions, that is actually, he can only do that if he actually tunes into his feminine essence. And then it's when you're able to do those two things, become aware of them and understand them, and then it enables you to see emotions of other people, especially the women in your life. Because one thing I've learned is women are not literal. Like men are literal. Like if I say, yo, I've got a problem, like I mean, if I say, yeah, go ahead and do it, I mean go ahead and do it. If your girl says go ahead and do it, it doesn't mean that. Like I think we all know that by now. So it's like reading the emotion of like how women communicate, and that again is like, that's a whole game changer in just life in general.
Yeah, and that's why also it would be really attractive if a man has the patience in dealing with that.
But that's emotional intelligence again,
exactly,
and not being triggered.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But yeah, listen, the emotion thing is that, I don't know if any guys listen to this, but I know nowadays we're all starting to like become aware of the importance of emotions and the impact this has on our lives. But if we really actually take time to really understand it at a deeper level and more so in other people, then that's a big thing, especially in relationships, when you're able to like see why things are said, not necessarily what is being said, but why things are said, and the emotion, like the gestures, the body language. When you can read into all those things and know how to react to that and start speaking women's language, then yeah, like you're looking at it like you're surprised, but it's true, because like women communicate in a very different way to the way men communicate. We're very logical, very like literal, but women are more, I'd say, like subliminal, and like, you know.
Can I it, guys? Get your notebooks out and pen, yeah.
Right, here we go.
So, like, are you saying basically men? Are you telling that? To summarize, a masculine man is more masculine. It basically will be in his divine masculine if he's had all this emotional intelligence and basically won't just flip out.
Yeah,
something like that.
Like if you're, bro, like, and if there's any guys here listening, if you're bugging over anything, not just your woman, work, your finances, anything, the moment you are actually like triggered and you're reacting based on emotion, you are no longer in your masculine essence. Because your masculine essence is when you're able to sit with that emotion, not react on it, and actually just take your time to actually understand, what am I feeling? Why am I feeling this way? And what do I actually want to do? And so instead of reacting, you begin to respond. And the moment you start responding, that's when women see you like extremely powerful. You know, like a man that can actually just sit with something and be like, cool, like just take his time, be cool with it, process it, buy himself time, and then come with something that is well thought out, well planned, and, you know, it's going to have a positive impact. Then that's when all of a sudden you really become a masculine man. Like, you become an alpha male, you become a leader. And I'm speaking from like being able to apply these principles in my life has allowed me to connect with people that I never thought I'd be able to connect in a lifetime. Find myself talking and being around circles of people that are really going places. And, you know, like I'm at the bottom tier of that at the moment, or it feels like it, in terms of like I'm just breaking into this new world of business and enterprise and, you know, society. But I'm seeing that all these guys that are successful, they've tapped into this, and obviously I've learned a lot from them as well. But it's the ability to really manage those emotions so you don't react and respond. But yeah.
Yeah, and I want to talk a bit about, because you keep talking about the alpha male and emotional intelligence. So I want to go back to what I mentioned earlier. A lot of the times men go, girls like bad boys, so there's no point us being good guys. Right? So, and I said earlier that I used to like bad boys as well. But the thing is, I can't speak for all women, but the reason I know why it's not that I like bad boys or like something like, although I did get involved with sort of basically drug dealers, but anyway. But the reason I was attracted, drawn to by bad boys is because I like the edge. Basically, I like a man, even till now, to be honest, I like a man that has a bit of edge to them. Yeah. And just has that cheekiness to them. So basically, this is what I like. I like a man that basically, it's not just me, I think most women do. A man that will open a door for you, but as soon as you walk through that door, he slaps your ass. Does that make sense?
Yeah, well, yeah. I hear it. Yeah.
Like that. So, but in this book, it also mentions like the woman likes the killer in the man, but not literally the killer, but like basically the fearless, being like in the man being fearless. And that is exactly why most women like the bad boy, because it gives them the impression that they're fearless, they can protect them. And it again goes down to being the protector, the alpha male and things like that. However, though, these bad boys' emotional intelligence is, isn't it?
Listen, I used to...
And they disrespect lots of women as well. They don't actually... respecting.
Yeah, not all bad boys. This is the thing. Before I strive to be a bad boy, because I very quickly clocked in the world I live in that the bad boy was the one that succeeded, and And I clocked as well that the girls like the bad boy. And what this book helped me understand why that was is because the bad boy is practically perceived as being fearless. You know, when a guy is seen as a bad boy, like he's going up against the rules, like he's fighting people, he's living life on the edge. He's like a dangerous guy. And that, I think when the book refers to the woman likes the killer in you, is practically the giving off that perception that you're dangerous, that you can go against the law practically. But when a woman sees that in a man, she practically believes that because he's that way, and if she's with him, that he's not gonna practically hesitate to protect her. If push comes to shove and they're in danger, like he ain't got the fear to go and fight for her. Problem is, as Celia mentioned, when a guy feels that that's the need, and he needs to be a bad boy to practically get through life, it's actually a form of insecurity. Because when you're actually secure about yourself, you don't actually need to go around showing it. It's like, don't get me wrong, there are times in life where you gotta flash teeth, and then sometimes you really gotta go to war on certain cases, and you gotta be dangerous. In this world, we live in a world that if you don't have the ability to like stand up and like survive at the highest or at the peak of danger, then you're gonna get eaten alive. But I think there's ways of showing that, and I think the best way to show it is practically not being scared to do things that might cause. For example, like one of the things I really struggled with was practically like the feeling of rejection or being embarrassed or ashamed or something. So anything that put me in those things, I'll very quickly like avoid it or go around it. And I found out starting a business I hesitated so much because of the fear of what will people think, what will people say, would I be judged if it fails, this and this and that. And it's actually it's in that sense that when you're actually able to show the fearlessness there and take that two-footed kind of jump off the cliff without a parachute and start weaving the parachute as you're falling, and then when the world's able to see that, I think that's when you're in your truest masculinity. But also it's showing that proper fearlessness of like, yo, you know what, I'm just gonna ride this, and at that point, you're just willing to do anything. You're really at the height of survival.
And I want to ask you this question. So like, and there's some guys now, they complain that women are very masculine.
They are. A lot of them are.
Yeah. And so because of that, they're no longer stepping up their game, they're stepping down their game. So in a way, basically are saying like, you know what, if the woman want to be the provider, I'm happy to sit back and let her be the provider.
Yeah, but come on, what kind of man is that? If you're like that, you're a waste man. Any man that like says that, you're a waste man. And if you're listening to this, bro, honestly, if you're living off your girl, like trust me, no man will look at you in your eyes and think highly of you. Like your boys might be like, oh bro, that's sick, but they'll turn around and be like, yo bro, like he's a waste man. Yeah, that a man should be able to practically provide for himself, should be able to hold shit down, should practically be fully patterned, financially, emotionally, physically. Like it should be completely self-sustainable. That is a masculine man.
That's another thing. I agree with that, because I said to someone before, because they said to me basically like, I always said the man should pay on the first date.
Yeah.
Or any day.
If you've got courtesy.
But forget about the courtesy thing. This is just I'm talking about my opinion now. But like man paying on the first day, but also reason why I said that is not because it's not about the money. It's nothing to do with that. It's more like you are showing the woman, at least for me anyway, you're showing the woman that you, at least that's the first sign, maybe somewhat sign that you are masculine enough, that you provide.
You know why it sits uneasy with me, because there's so many variables to that. Like, look, if you're financially stable, then of course like you're not going to hesitate to pay. But if a guy's not financially stable for whatever reason, then that could be for a million reasons, he might not be inclined or in a position even though he wants to, he might not be in a position to pay. And then so he might be thinking, especially nowadays where like there are women that will take offense if you actually pay for them. You're obviously someone that's open-minded, so for you still see that as like, yo, that I value that. You value that, a guy doing that. There's women out there, and I don't know if any of you lot are listening out there, but There's women, they will be pissed.
I know.
They're like, what do you mean? What, you think I can't take care of it? And then all of a sudden, it's like, it could go the whole opposite way. So maybe because of this whole political agendas that are out there now, you don't even know how to navigate through it.
And that's another thing, like, was like, obviously, okay, so because lots of men say, like, oh, women have become really masculine. Now, ladies, now that's another thing. A lot of the ladies now, they say, there's no more, I want a manly man. Like, he's not man enough for me. But the ladies who say this, like, ladies, I know that they're so good. There's feminists out there, they're not going to like me. I'm just going to be real here. The ladies who say this usually, they're masculine themselves.
Yeah, but
some of them are quite masculine themselves.
But this will be women, like, and again, I apologize if I cause any offense, but these will be women that have been let down by men in their life. There's every women that that men haven't really held it down. They haven't been there to support them, to provide for them, to protect them. And I'm not saying protect them like in a way like, you know, like, oh, I'll fight for you. When I say protect, I say like protect them in a way that's like spiritual almost. Like, and when I say spiritual, it's like emotionally, like you're not hurting your girl. Like if you're like practically embarrassing your girl, or you're trying to like tell your girl, oh, you can't do this or you can't do that, you shouldn't dress like this, you shouldn't dress like that, and you're practically like inhibiting her free will, you're not protecting your girl. Do you see what I'm saying? So like, you need to let your girl just be free. Like, if she want to dress a type of way, or dye her hair a type of color, or wear some crazy makeup, because there are girls out there that wear, you know, like whatever, you know, if you're with that girl, just let them be free, and then you just protect. And if anyone try and like challenge and like come like, oh, like ridicule your girl, like try to say anything about it, then you come full force, like practically you go. And that's how you show your girl, I've got your back, like irrespective of what's going on. And again, that comes down to just that masculinity, isn't it? But
I totally relate what you just said, because I was like that before. As in, like, I've been in a relationship where I was told that, why do I like to wear bodycon dresses so much? Am I trying to get attention? So then
that's an insecure guy.
So then I had to like suppress my personality, start looking at other type of clothes, and then saying things like, why do I have to be so friendly?
But did you feel protected by this guy? Like deep down in your heart, like you knew he'll fight for you, but did you feel he had your back? Like if push come to shove and it was him or you, life or death, would he die for you?
That's another thing. So I did think, at the time I did feel safe. I did feel like he would, to be honest, this guy was actually like, I would say like my dream man. Everything about him, except for that insecurity part. That's the only part that didn't work out. But basically, another thing is, he did have my back, but he was not man of his words. As in, basically, he would say he would do stuff for me, this and this and that, but he would be so long, he just wouldn't do it. For example, like some simple thing, I'll redecorate the whole flat. I'll paint the flat, just because I said I was complaining about the colour of that. Mm-hmm. He bought the paint, left it for 6 months in the living room, for 6 months and haven't done it. And then when he did start working, he only did one side of the wall, and then another 6 months did the next side of the wall. So it got to a point where like I actually no longer really believed his word. It got to a point where I'm just like, okay, whenever he said something, he would do something, I'd just be like, okay, let's see like that. So now that's going back to like when the female becoming more masculine, which is because I don't believe his word now, or ladies don't believe the words of the man now. Naturally start building up the guard but building that guard and become more masculine, thinking, oh, you know what, if you can't do it, I might as well do it myself, which is what I ended up doing. A lot of the times I'm like, you know what, I just can't bother to wait on you, just too long, I'm just going to do it myself. And that's where, so for ladies for those who don't understand about masculine, basically you getting stuff done rather than like relying on your man. But I thought, oh, you know what? I don't know where I went to.
Yeah, no, you're talking about practically like protection and look. I think the original thing was like whether the guy should practically provide and how he should provide, and whether you said about paying the bill. That paying the bill was a bit techie because there's so much. It's a minefield.
Yeah, I get it because like you said, the guy might be broke or whatever, struggling at that time, which is fair enough. I get it. But some may argue, well, if you ain't got money, then don't take me out then. But however, with me, then like...
No, if you're one of those girls, then you're waste girl. Okay. You get me, like, take that.
But for me, like, I said, like, it's not even about the money. Like, me personally anyway, I cherish the effort, the thought put into it. So you don't have to even take me to, like, an expensive restaurant. Literally, it can just be taking on a cute, like, do something cute and maybe like go to a park and just, I mean, as long as you like do something, put the effort in. Maybe it could be a picnic or
but
whatever.
that's a feminine trait.
What, as in what?
That what you just said.
Yeah.
A guy will not do that if he's not in tune with his feminine. That's a feminine trait. That whole effort and thoughtfulness and the kind of care, that softness.
Yeah.
Because that's what it is. It's a softness.
Yeah.
Like most men won't have that unless they're aware. I mean, there are men that will naturally have that, and that's men that are practically that grown up in a. For example, a guy that's grown up with his mum and 4 sisters.
Yeah.
He grows up in femininity. Like, so he'll be thoughtful, he'll be like soft and kind of, because that's what he's been exposed to. But if you're a guy that's grown up with a dad, 4 brothers, or you know family, and you just out on road with the man them, then you're just in full masculinity. Like, you ain't doing that, because the thought of actually doing that is, it almost seems like a risk to your life, because you think, right, like if I'm seen soft, if I'm seen as wet, if I'm seen as like some kind of way that is weak, then that's a problem. And again, that's a whole different thing.
If they're secure with themselves, they wouldn't even care about what people think. Then, innit? If that they will look soft.
Then you're talking about more like maturity. And maturity comes from experience. It comes from obviously what you're exposed to. It comes from the people around you. There's various things, but it's only when you reach a stage of maturity, which I think they say like men don't even enter maturity until the 30s, and it's true. I didn't start becoming mature until like 29, 30 really. Is when I touch 30, I'm like, right, I'm 30. I'm on the 3rd floor. And like, I got nothing to show for my life. Like, I'm actually like in a bit of a pickle, and I need to start like actually acting like a man. And I actually looked at my life. It's the first time. It's almost like a slap in my face, because I looked at my life and I thought, what am I actually doing? You know, I've got nothing to show for the last 20 or 30 years that I've been alive, and I'm having no impact out here. Like, you know, I've got no name, I'm not creating a legacy, I'm not providing a service, I'm not doing anything that is productive. I'm not doing anything. That was actually the wake up call, and that's when I thought, right, I need to start looking at what I want to do, where I want to go. But then even before that, I started kind of exposing things that I didn't know who I was, and it just took me for a whole journey. But
you said like men was tapping into maturity during the 30s, but there are some men who are in their 40s are still like acting like fuck boys and all like that, and acting a certain type of way. Still have to prove a point. Yeah.
But it depends the environment as well. Like, you know, like if like, I got brethren that in the 40s. Like the way I grew up with people that was older than me, like 5-10 years older than me, and a lot of man them out there, they're still in that way of life. And sometimes they look at me now and they're like, bro, like you move a bit funky, like a bit fruity these days with certain things. And I'm like, yeah, bro, like it might seem like that to you, but you know, like it is what it is, isn't it? Like, what can we do? But then again, it's like being truthful. It's like having that truth, knowing your truth, standing by your truth, being at peace with your truth, and taking it out to the world. And I think when the guys can see that what you're doing is truthful, and the truthfulness is like what you do day in, day out, like, you know, the way you live life, like the values you uphold, like all that kind of stuff, like, you know, the attitude, the emotional intelligence, it starts kind of like painting a picture, and people start actually saying, actually, you know what, like when they start seeing the results of that, I think that is when you really start then almost, as they say, like, you know, start bearing, when all that starts bearing fruits, then that's when people start clocking what it is. And
yeah. So see that book, Way for Superior Man. Why should men should read it? Tell them why they should read it.
Yo, guys, so like sexual energy, I would say, like, guys, we all know.
When you say we keep sexual energy, like, let's talk about that first then.
In what sense?
Like, what do you mean by sexual energy?
Well, sexual energy is like that sexual drive. Like, look, it's a perfectly natural instinct to look at a woman, and if the woman is in her feminine essence, you'll find her attractive.
Yeah, and also I want to add to that. So, ladies out there, for listening now, if you find your man, or just if you find your man looking, don't be feeling all insecure now, because it is natural, like you just said, it's natural for a man to naturally be drawn to the feminine essence, and also it's natural for male or female to appreciate something that's good looking, and girls out there, I know you look as well. I'm a man. You got
That's
a man.
what eyes are made for,
Yeah,
right?
exactly. So don't be trying to lie to yourself. No, I don't look at other guys because I've got my man. That's a lie. That's absolutely a lie. But there's nothing wrong with appreciating. But as long as it's a trust, isn't it?
In a respectful manner as well.
Yeah.
Like obviously, like listen, like there's guys out there that will like see a woman and they'll get too carried away and they'll just move creepy with it, like a bit.
And then some will just go on with the day. Don't
A
appreciate
bit first. Yeah. Like you know, there's nothing wrong with like a woman like being in her feminine essence. Not even feminine essence. A woman just being attractive. Forget that now. The spirituality, just straight out normal basics. Like, you find a woman, or you see a woman that's attractive, like crossing your path. You can appreciate her beauty. There's nothing wrong with that. It's a beautiful woman. You know, it's like when you see like a cute puppy. You're not gonna feel any type of way about it. Everyone's heart melts. So you feel something. Is that like certain looks and aesthetics and geometries that like just create emotion, and that's what art does, and etc. But point being is that appreciate the beauty, but again is that respect it. And like if you see a woman that's attractive, respect her, like appreciate her beauty, respect. And you know what, actually, women clock when you look at them. I lie. It's almost like I don't know, women have some crazy radar, like 360 vision, but you know when the guy looks at you, and then you also know when the guy is respectfully looks at you but then continues. And I don't know, it's actually, this is a genuine question. If a guy like walks by and you know he notices you and he appreciates you, but then he keeps moving, does it make you feel good?
Yeah.
There you go. So guys, there you go. So like you make that woman feel good, and you never know, like you might, I don't know what will come of it, but point being is that it's perfectly natural to be attracted and appreciate. And so that's one of the things anyway, like sexual energy is kind of around that attraction, but then learning how to channel that almost urge, because it is an urge, and like if that urge is not controlled, is not understood, it can become lust, and lust is what drives a lot of us to do things. A lot of men will go out and party, will go out and we'll buy certain clothes, we'll drive certain cars, actually all off the back of lust, because we feel like it will impress a girl and it might end up leading us to get something in that sense.
Talk about the lust thing. You mentioned something the other time when we were talking about, you said that everything that a man does is to do with lust. Talk about that.
I wouldn't say I wouldn't say everything, but there's so many things. There's so many things that we do as men out there. But actually, wait, girls do it too. So this is not necessarily just a man thing. So don't be trying to just put that on one. Yeah.
But you talk about that, I talk about
no. But on a serious, I realized when I started becoming aware of this, I realized how many things I did, for example, that was practically driven by the urge and the lust. So like, it was just that certain behaviors, certain things I would do, certain ways I would behave, like all that kind of stuff.
Gym, for example.
Like when you go gym, like listen, man, like the guys will try and train in where the girls are around, and that's kind of one of those things where it will be something driven by lust. Like realistically, if you go gym, if you're not driven by lust, you'd be quite happy straight into the studio by yourself when no one's looking at you and no one's appreciating your strength and whatever it is that you go gym for, like your aesthetic or whatever. But then the same as clubbing and so many activities, and it's when you become aware of this and you start realizing, how many things do I do just on this underlying, it's a subconscious thing. Don't get me wrong, it's not like guys plan this out and be like, right, I'm going to do this. It's a really subconscious, that you're unaware that so many things are driven by this energy. And then once you're aware of that energy and you start understanding like sexual energy, obviously in a physical sense, it's all about obviously the pleasure. But in a spiritual sense, it's actually the power of creation. And when you're able to transmute that energy into creating a vision, which leads to a purpose, and then that purpose, you need ideas to fulfill it, and then you need to create those ideas, so you need creative energy for that. But when those ideas, you need to want to materialize them and get them out into the world to fulfill that vision, you then need to create solutions, because there's going to be problems and things that you need to solve along the way. So you need a whole load of creative energy to really and truly become a man of purpose. And I find that is the most powerful and attractive thing that that I find, like, I have a lot of friends like Celia that just say one of the things they find most attractive in men is a man with purpose.
Yes.
I like.
Yeah, 100%. I was gonna say that. Yeah, like but you took literally the word.
Sorry, I stole up on that.
But yeah, no, actually, you're right. Girls actually, for example, like when we used to go out clubbing, you always be like, oh, there's all the boys that. But then actually, no. When we go out clubbing, well, no, I can't speak for all girls. Me personally, when I go out clubbing, I just like to go for a dance.
And I know most girls, to see this thing with girls, like, girls will go in a group.
Whereas guys, though, they
that's
would be
like, so this is how you tell the difference.
Guys would not go to a club that's just like guys.
So,
I mean.
Girls will go as a group and they go to a club, and the club will be the deadest, emptiest, shittest club in the world, and them in their group, you guys will vibe. You guys will just dance,
exactly,
have the best night of your life. Man, them on the other hand, will go out. And if there's no girl in the club, you're like, bro, this is dead. Like, and if there's bare man in the club and like literally 2 girls, that's a problem. And man are feeling, like, we'll be feeling stressed. I can't lie. Like we're like, bro, we need to move to a different spot. Like, allow this. So again, that's when we're talking about those behaviors of like, but yeah, like, going back to the original point, sexual energy, if anyone actually, relates to any of this, honestly, this book will really dive into it in a way that this is where it all started for me. This is when I started understanding how, and he's the one that explained all that thing I'm talking about, the creative energy and how you transmute that and put that into more productive ways. So instead of like you just thinking with the end of your penis, like you actually start thinking in a superior way, and that's what really truly that is.
And I'm just gonna wrap it up.
Yeah.
But like, just to sum up, basically, coming from a woman to represent, speaking for the women, basically, like, gents, all we ask for is you create a safe space for us to allow us to be women, to be safe.
I'm gonna interrupt and just say, wait, how can a man create that space? Because you saying it. Go on.
Hear us out. Like, be patient, and actually, like, if we, just be comforting. For example, like, if we are feeling, maybe like that day we're not in the mood, whatever, like that, just like be there, just to cradle, like, sort of like, be like more comforting, things like that, and then not just like, oh, all right, here we go again. Like, if you when you do things like that, like sign, like, oh god, here she goes, and it makes her feel like, what, like,
you're not here for
yeah,
me.
exactly, just that, and then and just a thoughtfulness, and we want to be seen.
There's something that I can't remember, someone told me that there's a difference between hearing and listening. And like, hearing is like, it's like noise, like background noise. It's like something's going on, and it's noise entering your ear, but it's not quite being registered. Listening is when you're presently and actively engaging with information and what's being said, but not just what's being said. It's also, as I mentioned before, the emotion of how it's being said, like the pitch of the voice, the gestures, the body language, the expressions in the face. And when you can actually start understanding all those little cues to really understand and build a picture of like where that person is, and then you're able to practically respond, not react, respond in a thoughtful way that practically acknowledges that, I think then that's perhaps what you mean, right? Because I got to break it down, because you say like create a safe space for women, but for guys, I know it's not straightforward, because when someone also say that to me without me knowing all these things, I mean, I've read a lot of other books, but if I didn't know and you said create a safe space, I'd be like, what the fuck do you mean? What do you mean about that? Like, I would be baffed. I would probably disregard the comment.
Yeah, and I think I just want to say that fuck, I forgot what I was gonna say.
Oh, you're talking about like men creating a safe space.
Yeah. No, I was saying that. Basically, like, this is a message to the ladies, actually. So, like you said earlier, that the reason why so many ladies are in the masculine because they've been hurt and things like that. And I just want to say, ladies, and you're probably thinking, so where am I going to find this kind of man now? This kind of, like, 'cause there's not many like them out there. There are many.
I am going to say one thing. There's so many.
Yeah.
But you know what? Is the good guys.
Yeah.
The guys that you lot will see as like, ew. The guys you think ew, they are the guys that you, trust me, they're the guys that will actually deliver for you.
Yeah.
The guys that you see as dweeby and like, ew, no. Like, trust me, give them a chance. That's what I would say. Like honestly, they're the men that are in the feminine essence,
and also like, and then also like a lot of women be like, oh my god, he's too much. He's like he's always texting me every single day, or not.
But then that's sticky. That's different.
No, but
that's different.
But what I'm trying to say is basically like, some women be like, oh, he's too much. Like he's complimenting me all the time, like, and some women are not used to these compliments, like, because they're used to, again, just because they're like been hurt in the past, and when a man actually is showing them love, they get scared. So what I'm trying to say here now is that, ladies, like, if you want to attract these kind of man, you have to open your heart. You have to allow yourself to receive and like believe that you deserve and you're worthy of this. And this is how you be in your feminine. You stop being in your head analysing, oh my god, is it this, is that, oh my god, I don't know if I'm scared, I'm gonna just push him away. You got to be in your heart and go with your heart and just allow and appreciate and just like be grateful, receive it. But be aware, obviously, I know some of you are scared, like, oh, what was his agenda, like, what if he like gives me all this love and obviously he's gonna take it away. Be aware of it. And this is how I learned. I learned to just basically, it's okay to be vulnerable. And ever since I've been like not being scared of being vulnerable, I'm actually at peace. I feel so much like relaxed and just like no longer in my head. It's just I can't explain it. Right? When you're so much in your head, you're actually so tired because you're just it's exhausting. But when you're in your feminine, just like relax, you're just embracing the outcome, no matter what the outcome is. I'm not saying that you won't get hurt. If you get hurt, you get hurt, but you just like feel it, ride through it, and that's it. But just know that you deserve, you're worthy, and just be open your heart, and that man that you want will come.
There you go. That's the perfect way to wrap it up. Yeah, honestly, and for the guys, it's just like try and tune into your emotions. Like I would say, really just sit with them, understand them, become aware of them first of all, understand them, and then bring love. Like I think ultimately, the most powerful thing a man can do is learn what love is in his own unique way. And I find every guy loves in a very different way. But if you can channel that love and bring it out to the world, not just to your girl, but to your family, to your friends, to your community, to your society,
that's right.
I would say that is probably the one thing that will just really change everything. And I know the way we look at it is like it's excuse the word, but we might see it as like, oh, it's a bit gay.
Yeah.
But you know what, like really and truly, when you do that and you live from love, a truthful place of love, it changes your life and you enter into that true masculinity.
And this is something I say all the time: do everything with love, whether you're man or woman. Love is everything. Literally, like, do you love is, I always say, love is so powerful. Love can kill, love can heal, love is medicine, love can conquer. Like, you can be a fearless person, but you can still be scared of love. And hear me what I mean by that. You can be scared of because like you're scared to receive it. Like, what the fuck? Like you said, oh, is this gay? Da, da, da. Or you can be scared to give love. But then again, I said this before, it's easier to give love than to receive. And when you do everything with love from a place of love, everything will start flowing to you. Things will go smoothly. Like it's basically you're planting that good karma for yourself.
You just harmonize with the world around you. I just say that everything starts flowing and it's beautiful, man.
Yeah.
If you ain't experienced it, then I hope you do, man. I really hope you do.
Anyway, so we wrap it here, and if maybe we can come on another time again and talk about the same topic or something similar or other topics. But how can people get hold of you if they wanna?
Yeah, guys. So I got Instagram. Is my handle's J1__Pez PEZ. Feel free to DM. Like, I love connecting with positive people and anyone that wants to learn and teach. So I'm a eternal student. So I want to learn as much from anyone listening to this. And if there's anything I can share that's valuable, by all means, get in touch. And yeah, probably best way through there. And
Amazing. Thank you so much for coming on. It was fun. I hope you enjoyed it as well. But yeah, thank you so much for listening, and until next time, love you lots.
Thank you again for listening or watching. If you enjoy that and found it relatable, then please share it with your loved ones. Also follow the show so you don't miss out any episodes. You can follow me on Instagram at iam.celialee. It is spelled with an I, not an E. So CILIALI. Thank you. Love you lots.